So in today's video, I want to give you an idea of some of the Lews rods that I have in my collection so that you can make an informed buying decision when purchasing your first Lews rod. Stay tuned, it's coming up. Alrighty y'all, Lou here from Beyond the Bounds. This is a channel geared towards bass fishing and gear reviews. So if you like that sort of thing, click that subscribe button up top. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Today's video is going to be about the Lews rods that I have in my collection and some of the actions and the components of each of these rods so that you can make an informed buying decision. So question of the day, what's the Lews rod that you would like to know more about? You know, the more entries that I get down below will focus my next video and one of my upcoming videos to focus on the rods that you guys would like to see more about. So I want to start off with one of my favorite rods in the Lews lineup, and that is the TP1 series. This is an IM8 blank and it retails for about $100. Now the key components of this blank again are that you have an IM8 blank. It also has microwave guides, which I've always been a fan of microwave guides. I think they're very strong and sturdy and really do actually help with casting. The reel seat, as with most of all of the reel seats that Lews offers, is a skeletal reel seat with a hook keeper built into the trigger. Finally, you'll have the handles, and now the handles are wind grips and they don't add to the weight of the rod at all. They make for a very well balanced rod in my opinion, and it's a very light rod. You can see here that I have a chatterbait tied onto this multi-purpose rod. It's got a good action to it and can really set this chatterbait home. So let's take a look at the action of this multi-purpose 7-foot medium heavy fast action TP series rod. You can see it's got a good bend towards the top of the rod, not really to the center of the rod, which is what makes it good for throwing pretty much anything from chatterbaits to spinnerbaits, you name it. That's why they called it the multi-purpose rod. In that same TP series, now I'm not going to go over every single feature again. We already know that they have microwave guides, same IM8 blank, but this is the perfect crankbait rod. And so I want to give you an idea of what the action of this perfect crankbait rod is as well. This is a 7'3" medium heavy moderate action, and what you'll see is that the rod is going to bend a little bit more towards the center. This is what makes this rod really good for loading up on spinner baits, loading up on small crankbaits and other types of square bills. My next rod in the TP series lineup is my flipping and A-rig rod, and this is a pretty stout rod that is weighted up to a 1.5 ounce lure weight and up to 65 pound braid. Okay, so now let's take a look at the flipping A-rig 7'6" heavy power fast action rod. And what you'll see is a lot more action towards the tip of the rod because that's what you want to really hammer home those hooks. The final rod that I have in the TP series, again, I fell in love with this. When I made my first order of Lews rods, out of all the rods that I purchased, although I'm a huge fan of the Team Lews Custom Pro, I like these rods because of the value. They're all priced at $100, but this rod in particular is the Worms, Jigs, and Tube rod. And now let's look at the action of the Worm, Jigs, and Tube TP series rod. Again, this is a 7-foot medium heavy fast action TP series rod. You can see it's got a lot of good bend in there. What I really like to use this rod for is weightless worm presentations or anything that you would need, maybe a Texas rig presentation, because it's still going to have enough backbone to hammer that hook home but also fight the fish. So that sums it up for the TP1 series. Again, IM8 blank costs about $100. Let's move on to the Mach Crush series and the Mach series of rods. So here you'll see that I've got the Mach Crush speed stick combo. It's an IM8 blank. It's priced at, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the reel in there, makes it easier because it's priced at $200 with the reel, which is a phenomenal deal when you consider that you would pay almost that much just getting to this reel. And this reel is a phenomenal reel for the overall package in itself is light, but the reel itself, I've paired it with other ones and horsed big fish out of cover. The reel is going to handle down on some big fish, but again, skeletal exposed reel seat and wind grips that give you a good tack feeling for when you are handling this rod. If your hands get a little wet, get a little sweaty throughout the day, that's where these wind grips are really going to shine, because you're going to have something good to grip onto. The guides are your microwave guides. Don't need to tell you again that I'm a fan of those type of guides. Now let's take a look at the action of this rod. Again, this 7-foot medium heavy fast action taper, and you'll see that there's pretty good amount of bend in this one, even though it's a medium heavy fast action. This is what I'm going to throw a lot of my top waters, a lot of my treble hook top waters, like your whopper ploppers, waking baits. This is the type of presentation that I like to use because it loads up really well and helps you fight those fish. So continuing on with the Mach series, I have the Mach 2 speed stick. It's an IM8 blank. I've actually landed my biggest fish thus far out of all of my combos on this rod right here. It performed flawlessly. It has a skeletal reel seat. Again, wind grips for that good tack. And the guides are stainless steel with aluminum oxide inserts. All right, so now let's take a look at this 7-foot medium heavy Mach 2 speed stick IM8 blank. Again, it's going to be very comparable in a sense to the bend that's going to terminate towards the end of the rod with the fast action. It's going to be great for throwing various presentations, from topwater treble hooks to also throwing square bills and small spinner baits. So now that we're moving to the spinning combo of the Mach Crush series, again, IM8 blank, wind grips, hook keeper up near the handle. This is actually a great ergonomic handle that truly really conforms to the fit of your hand. It fits well. The overall package of the entire Mach series, Mach Crush series of rods is very light, very balanced, and you know, truly a good rod that you can handle all day, every day. That's not going to wear you down. It's got microwave guides up here as well. Just a phenomenal combo that's really good for fighting big fish. All right, so now let's take a look at this Mach Crush IM8 speed stick blank. This is a 6-foot 9-inch medium light fast action taper. This is really going to bend towards the center of the rod. It's going to be really good for fighting fish, especially when you have an exposed hook type situation to where they've got that whole hook in their mouth and they're really fighting. This will help keep those fish pegged. It'll unload a lot slower than some of the other rods because of the medium light power to this rod, which is what makes it a good rod for throwing those wacky rig presentations. You're going to lose a little bit of accuracy with this amount of a tip to it, but what you gain is a rod that's really going to fight those fish for you. All right, the next rod that I want to bring to your attention is the Custom Speed Stick. This is an HM60 blank with EVA foam. It's got a red accent here down near the bottom to tell you that this is a crankbait series rod. An exposed skeletal reel seat, stainless steel with titanium oxide inserts. I've actually owned the drop shot version of this rod as well, and can attest that it was a very good, very light drop shot rod with a lot of sensitivity. All right, now let's take a look at the action of the Magnum Crankbait Rod 2 Custom Speed Stick. This is an HM60 high modulus blank. This particular model is the 7-foot medium heavy fast action and has a nice slow taper, a nice slow bend to it, so that when you fight those fish, it's not really whippy, and it allows those fish to get that crankbait in their mouth, and then when you're reeling, it allows them to take it deeper and truly get all of those hooks, and it'll allow you to fight the fish. I can tell you that when the fish are on, this thing will bend all the way back to these middle blanks right here and really give you an effective rod for fighting fish. This series as well will also throw your 6XDs and your deeper Strike King diving crankbaits. Okay, moving on to the Hank Parker Signature Series Speed Stick with an IM8 blank, EVA foam. It's got a exposed reel seat with a hook keeper in the trigger and also a hook keeper down here at the bottom. This is the crankbait series rod and aluminum guides. All priced for $40 if you can find them at Walmart. Okay, so now let's take a look at this Hank Parker Signature Series IM8 blank. This is a 610 medium fast action that's going to provide you a lot of bend up at the front, which is really going to make this good for throwing jerk baits. This is the crankbait rod, but I really like throwing jerk baits on it, and I've had a lot of success throwing jerk baits on this rod. It allows the fish to load up, but it's great action towards the tip that it, one, casts those jerk baits really well and actually hammers those hooks home into the roofs of the mouth. Okay, in the same series of rod, we've also got the worm and jig. Everything pretty much the same as what I just told you. IM8 blank, EVA foam core also with hook keepers down here at the bottom and in the trigger. Okay, so now let's take a look at the worm and jig rod, the Hank Parker Signature Series Speed Stick, IM8 blank. Again, this is a 7-foot, medium heavy, fast action rod that has very good action, that bends right there at the top, that's going to allow you to hammer home any type of Texas rig presentation, jig presentation, but it is also going to unload slowly to allow you to fight those fish effectively. So this rod you can throw anything from spinner baits to square bills at and have a rod that's going to be a multi-purpose rod because of this action, because of this blank and the power that it provides. Okay, so now let's take a look at one of the rods that's quickly becoming one of my absolute favorites. This is the Magnum Grass Custom Speed Stick Lite. It's an HM85 modulus. So that means to where you have an 85 million modulus. Your IM8s are going to be down in your 44 million modulus. So this is where this one's going to be a more sensitive rod that's also going to be lighter. It has some of the key features that you're going to find across the entire Lews lineup. You're going to have your wind grips down here, split handle design, hook keeper in the trigger, exposed skeletal reel seat, and again, your stainless steel with titanium oxide inserts. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Magnum Grass Custom Speed Stick Lite. This is a 7'2" heavy power fast action, and what you'll expect to see is exactly what it gives. You've got a lot, actually you've got very little bend towards the tip of this rod, and that's where the bend tends to stay. It doesn't bow all the way back here, which is what you want in a grass rod, in a flipping rod, is that you want something that is gonna be sensitive like this blank is, but also respond and give you that hook set and that deep penetration of those hook set and give you that power towards the end of the rod to lift those fish out of that heavy cover, out of that grass, and then flip those fish onto the boat. I can attest that I really like this rod for frogs, and I like it for skipping jigs. Even though it's a heavy power, it allows me to skip those jigs into some of the tightest places, hammer home on those fish, and pull them out. Okay guys, so I guess you could say that I saved the best for last, and that is the Team Lews Custom Pro Speed Stick with an HM85 blank. This rod retails for about $199 to $259 depending on the model that you're buying. So let's look at some of the features of this rod. The guides are stainless steel SS316 with zirconium inserts, exposed skeletal reel seat, hook keeper in the trigger, split handle grip design with an integrated cork and EVA foam handle. Okay, so now let's take a look at the action of this Magnum heavy cover Team Lews Custom Pro Speed Stick. This is a 7'6" heavy power fast action tip, and what I like about it is that you can see that it has a little bit more bend than some of the other rods, and I think that's really due to the length of this rod, which is what is going to allow you to hammer home fish, especially with your punching presentations. I use sometimes a 1 ounce weight on this because it's rated up to that, but this action is really going to allow you to fight those heavy fish once they get out of that cover, and that's what this rod's really going to excel at if you add it to your arsenal. Okay, so last in my lineup of rods, especially in the Team Lews Custom Pro, is my Tube Special rod. And this is the same HM85 blank with LFS XS technology that makes this blank lighter and stronger, but it still has all the same great features that you would come to expect throughout the entire lineup. A hook keeper up here above the handle. It also has a very nice ergonomic handle that holds well when you go to grip it. Same EVA foam and cork integrated split grip handle design. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Tube Special Team Lews Custom Pro Speed Stick. This is the 7'2" medium power, moderate fast action. And what I really was focusing on with this rod was to be a drop shot rod. I wanted a rod that got a lot of bend towards the middle of the rod blank so that it could fight those fish. I primarily only use this rod for drop shotting, but that's a technique that I'm going to do no matter where I'm at pretty much. So, you know, if you're looking for a good drop shot rod, I can highly attest that this one will fight the fish very well and very effectively. And it also has good power so that when you reel down, and it'll absorb and set that hook seamlessly. Okay guys, so there you have it. This is my entire Lews rod collection. I hope this helps you make an informed decision when looking to purchase your next Lews rod. I know a lot of the time these rods aren't available in stores for you to go there and actually get to handle them, but I can attest that every single one of these rods is tournament performance, tournament grade rods, and are used by some of the top anglers in the world. So as always guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all have a good one.